Do I let go? Do I persist? Or do I do both? These are the questions that I'm going to answer in today's live or YouTube. I get confused. I do too many videos. Hey everyone, it's Kim Velez, a conscious life and success coach and licensed mental health therapist. So before we jump in, if you feel like you need additional support than just the free YouTube videos, then please check out my description box below. I have email coaching. I have a paid Facebook group that's $30 a month. I jump in there twice a week for lives. I also have how to manifest your SP back and keep them for good online course. That is below as well. And if you want more free support, I have my Secure Girl podcast. New episode drops every Wednesday. I dive in deep every week for about 40 minutes to an hour talking about all this fun stuff. And I also have a free Facebook group called Live a Limitless Life. You are free to join that as well. So let's talk about this, right? Let's really look at letting go, persisting. What does it mean? How do we do it? What's the right way? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So let's understand what letting go really is and look at what people tend to think it is. So the way people tend to think that letting go is that they think like when you're at the mall and you see like a shirt that you want, or you want concert tickets and you're like, you know what? I want that, but I don't want to pay that money. I want to get it at this price. Whatever. I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to worry about it. Boom. A week later, 2 weeks later, they get that same shirt for free, or it's like, on sale, or somebody gives them the concert tickets, or they get the concert tickets on sale. Now, some people will be like, see, I let it go and it manifested. But what really happened was you didn't let it go. What you did was there was no opposing story, because your thoughts are what create your reality. So you had a thought and you created that reality where that manifested into it. Now, if you had an old story about the shirt, if you had a story about the concert tickets that all day long you were dwelling in and thinking and focused on, well, then you would have manifested a different experience. So that is the reality about letting go, is saying, understanding that your thoughts create. So as long as there's no thoughts that you're focused on that go against what you want, it usually manifests. Some people it maybe doesn't, but it usually does at some point. So let's look at when people say things like, oh, somehow, some way this will work out in my favor. Everything's working out in my favor, and they get what they want. Some people refer to that as letting go, but it really isn't. What you're doing is, again, whenever you're thinking about the subject at hand, it's usually an SP on this channel, but money, whatever it is, and you start to think about it, what people are doing is they're redirecting their thoughts and moving off of the old story, and they're placing it into a new story, affirming, I'm going to get what I want somehow, some way, this is going to work out for me. So what you're doing, again, is your thoughts create. So you are persisting in a new story. Even a general story is, this is going to work out for me. I'm going to get what I want. Well, you already know what it is that you want, because you've already thought about it a million times in your mind anyways. So it really wasn't letting it go. It's just you change the story whenever you think about it. So this is why it's important to understand the difference. So when people come to me, clients come to me and they're like, I'm exhausted, the mental pain is real, Kim. And I'm like, all right, well, why? Let's talk about this, because usually people are just battling the old story, because when you first start this process, what happens, I'm trying to stay in this microphone because we know I've had microphone issues and I keep forgetting. What tends to happen is that people are battling their old story versus their new story. And this process looks like this. Usually before you decide, I'm going to change, I'm the creator of my reality, my thoughts create, and you get awakened to everyone as you push out and blah, blah, blah. Now you start to become aware of your thoughts. Okay, look, I'm thinking about my person. This is what I'm thinking about. Nope, I want to think about this instead. This is the reality I want. So now I have to think about this instead. So then you go back and forth, because you're dwelling on them in your mind probably like 10,000 times a day, if not more. So now that you're aware and you're conscious of what you're thinking, now you have to put mental effort and wherewithal into say, nope, we're not going to think about that. We're going to think about this instead. And so you're going back and forth because you literally are recreating a new story to replace the old story. So if there's 10,000 thoughts in the old story, then you're going to be affirming a fucking lot throughout your day in order for it to transition from the old story to the new story, where you just naturally start thinking the new story the same way you naturally think about the old story. So that's usually where people feel exhausted, right? Or they're like, oh, I got to put this mental effort. And I say, yeah, so what, right? We talked about this. Like, isn't it worth for you getting what you want so that you're an intentional manifester? Now, people also tend to come to me with, I'm exhausted, because they're in this self-concept of being rejected and not having what they want. And so they're trying to do these techniques, but they're still in the old story, which is why it's not working. That's a whole nother video. I've already done videos on that. But I want you to be aware of this, because you're not letting go in the sense, if that's you in the latter, because you're still in the old story that you don't have what you want and you're not loved and you're feeling rejected and they're not with you. So when you're changing your new story, when you're changing the old story to the new story, there is that internal struggle that happens usually for a couple days, maybe a little over a week or so, until your mind just starts naturally thinking more in your favor, because you're through repetitiveness, you're reprogramming your mind, so your mind will just automatically start thinking your new affirmations. So once you get over that hump, it gets easier, but most people don't even give themselves time to get over that hump, and they just stop right then and there. And then they feel better. They're like, okay, now I'm not this and that, because what will tend to happen is you're not even letting go then. You're still going to persist in your old story. So you're still not going to get what you want. So to me, there's just no fucking point in it. Like, why? You're going to think no matter what. So why don't you choose the thoughts if you believe thoughts create your reality, so you can create the reality that you want? So the letting go is with your SP is, yes, you can say, you know what? I'm tired of thinking about this shit. I'm not going to think about it anymore. Some people can do that. Some people can just move their thoughts over to something else. Most people can't when it's something stewing on their mind a lot. So if you think that because you say, I'm going to let them go, but then all day long you're still dwelling in the old story of them and you're not going to manifest the reality you want. That's not letting go. So this is what letting go is. I'm going to tell you the truth. Letting go is letting go of the old fucking story. Now, you can do it a couple ways. If you're tired of affirming about your SP one day, like you're just like, I'm sick of thinking about them, I just want to break from thinking about them, I totally get it. That's okay. So you're still going to think about them though. So if you're thinking about them and it's not in a favorable way, then what you have options, and you're thinking about them, it's not in a favorable way. You're thinking about them in your old story, but you don't want to affirm about them because you're just sick of thinking about them, right? Then this is what you can do instead. You have two options. Well, three. You can totally focus on something that's a whole nother subject if you want, that feels good to you. Just train your mind to do that. Or you can focus on your concept of self of, I do get what I want, I'm loved, I'm valued, I'm a girlfriend, I'm a boyfriend, I'm a wife, I'm a husband, whatever it is that you want. You can affirm that new self-concept that I feel good enough, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, and just say that a million times till you feel worthy, and really just move you into the reality where you feel better, and this is how people have to see you. You can also affirm about relationships generally, like, the men in my life treat me this way. The women in my life show up this way for me. The men in my life see me this way. The women in my life respond to me this way. I am, in a loving relationship. This is what I want in a relationship. This feels good to me in a relationship. I love when I have this happen to me in a relationship. So you can really just start affirming about relationships in general and how you are in relationships, because it's all the same thing. If that's what you're focusing on, it's still you focusing on what you want, and your SP has to reflect that back to you. Now, so that is an option if you're just tired of saying their name or affirming about them and you just want a little break. So affirm about you and affirm about a different topic in your life. I always say you should be trying to have it all. You should be create whatever that looks like for you. For everyone, it's different. You should always be focused on more than one area in your life and affirm for all of it, so you can start creating the life that you want and live your best life and feel better and confident, especially if you're not seeing movement in one area and you're seeing movement in all these other areas. You're like, fuck yeah, I got this. It has to unfold. There's no difference if I'm manifesting money or a person. It's literally just the fucking story. So I just got to keep persisting in the story until the person conforms, because they have to conform. So letting go is, I'm not staying attached to the old story. I'm not staying attached to the old version of me that doesn't have what they want. And I'm not staying attached to the story of the old version of them where they don't give me what I want. And what I'm going to do is, anytime my mind wants to go there, I say, no, mind, we're going here where I want to go. And then I redirect my thinking until it becomes natural. And then obviously I'll manifest that. So that's what letting go is. So it isn't just one day it'll happen. I mean, that happens to things we don't really care about or things we're not worried about all day long. That doesn't happen for people who are thinking about their SP in a really negative way all day long and they don't stop. Here's another thing that happens with letting go. Sometimes after 2 or 3 months after a breakup, you focus so much on them, not in a favorable way. You weren't consciously manifesting. You just kept reliving the breakup and the old story and that they don't want you. And then you just get so emotionally exhausted and you're just so sick of it. You're like, fuck it. I'm going to get love. I'm going to get what I want. Fuck them. Right? A lot of people do that. I've done that in the past too. And then you get excited because you're like, I'm a badass bitch. I'm a king over here. I'm going to get what I want. And you start focusing. You get back in the gym. You're killing it in work, whatever. You're hanging out with your friends. You're having fun. You got your life back and you're excited about new beginnings. This happens to a lot of people, almost everyone. Then what happens? They come crawling in, or they come back in your life soon after. Now people say, oh, because I let go. Yeah, because you let go of the old story. So you were focusing on other things other than them. Do you understand that? You didn't have all these opposing thoughts anymore. So it's not that you're letting go of them or letting go of what you want to manifest for yourself. It's letting go of the old thoughts. That's really what it is. That's what it always comes down to. And there's just many different ways and process that this happens to us naturally, or we consciously make the process happen so that we get what we want and we speed it up and we feel better faster in the interim of it coming into fruition. So to recap, you want to persist in any thoughts about anything in your life that are favorable to you. Now, do you have to, focus so heavily on the SP all the time? No. But you better pay attention to when you do think about them, what are you thinking about? And if you're thinking about them in a way that is not getting you what you want, the old story, then you have to switch your thinking. So I say reaffirm what you want, you know what I mean? So you can get it and you can stop prolonging and making this drag on for months and months and months, and some of you years, because some of you that haven't manifested your person back in years, it's because you've had the old story for years. There's no other reason why. So it's just really understanding this and being aware. This is what it means to be a conscious creator. It means I am the creator of my reality. I'm paying attention to my mind to make sure that my thoughts are always focused on what it is that I want to have, in my life, what I want to experience with people and things in my life. And I persist in that until it comes to fruition. Now, if you are in a place in your life where maybe you're SP and you have broken up for a while or whatever, and you're just feeling really good and you've already affirmed a million times and you're at that place where you're like, I'm just excited for the, this stage of my life and I know they'll come back one day and I'm not even worried about it. And you're not thinking about them all the time and it's not this old story repeating, then you don't really have to affirm about them a lot. But most people aren't really there. Some people are, definitely, but most people aren't there. And that's okay if you are there, because you still can affirm, or you can just focus on what it is that you want to experience in your life. But either way, it's not really letting go. It's understanding that any subject or topic in my life that I want to manifest, whenever I think of it, I affirm the thoughts that I want to create. So some of you are thinking about the SP once a day. Some of you are thinking about them 1,000 times a day. So whatever one you are, anytime you have a thought about them, it needs to be favorable for you. And if you persist in that until it manifests, and it will manifest. So, letting go, again, is just letting go of the old story, the old version of them, the old version of you, the old version of your life, so to speak, and you're creating the new version in your mind. You're not focused on the 3D and saying the 3D is real, the 3D is real, look, the 3D is real. You're going in here and saying, this is the only confirmation I need. This is what creates my reality. I just know as long as my thoughts are moving in the direction that I want or focused on what I want, I persist in that, it will unfold. I mean, that to me, that's what letting go is. Whether you say it's working out in my favor somehow, some way, or you're saying how you want it to work out in your favor, you're still doing the same thing. It's still the same thing. You're focusing on the new story rather than the old. That is what letting go is. So, and you shouldn't be feeling emotional pain too much. You will go through different stages, and it's a process, and it's, everybody's at a different place. But like, once you get over that hump and you're really moving in the direction, you just will naturally start to think more and more. You're disciplining your minds, my love. That's all we're doing here. We're not doing, karate chops and fucking jumping off mountains and fucking walking over hot coals. We're just disciplining our mind. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe if you did, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.